the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, but I don't like it. I am now, look, I've had my reasons for being real hard on Stephanie White because I don't know what kind of agenda is going on there. There's been signs over time. There's been 2 key signs over time that would tell you Stephanie White might just believe that her Indiana Fever team is better without Caitlin.
The Indiana Fever just made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the sports world, but for many fans it wasn't a shock, it was a confirmation of their worst fears. After weeks of vague updates and empty promises, the team officially shut down Caitlin Clark for the rest of the season. The official reason cited her long-term health, but a growing number of furious fans believe the real story is much darker, involving a calculated deception that used their hero for profit and shattered the trust of an entire fan base.
Yeah, I mean, I think just having conversation with her and collaborating, and we knew that West Coast road trip was going to be a big one to see where we could get and how far we could get. And I think at the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And you know, I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And you know, to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlin and kind of the array of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. Number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to, you know, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, you know, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. You know, and the message has continued to be that you know, it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
I'm curious before.
Hey.
Head coach Stephanie White faced the media, stating they simply ran out of time to get Clark back on the court in a safe manner. But for a fan base that had been holding its breath for months, that explanation felt insultingly hollow. How does a multi-million-dollar franchise with a team of medical experts simply run out of time? It sounded less like a medical diagnosis and more like a carefully crafted corporate excuse designed to end a narrative they could no longer control. This phrase, running out of time, became a rallying cry for fans who felt the team had been wasting their time all along.
That seems to be the thing where it's like, you know, we're running out of time to do it in a safe manner, where it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessarily that Caitlin can't play. It's that Caitlin's probably in the same situation as she was when she played before. As in, she came back, played 5 games, got injured, came back, played 4 games, got injured. Am I right in that? 4, 5, 4. Yeah. Or 4 games and 5 games, whatever way it was. I think it was 5 got injured, 4 got injured. So I think they're scared that if they bring back Caitlin now, maybe, that she's going to go and pick up another soft tissue injury. That's my like interpretation of what's happening right now. That's what it sounds like to me.
This is where the story takes a disturbing turn. Fans are convinced the team and the league were intentionally stringing them along. For weeks, Clark's status was kept at day-to-day, a vague designation that kept hope alive. That hope sold tickets, filled arenas across the country, and kept TV ratings at an all-time high. Every game poster featured her face, every broadcast opened with her highlight. It was a brilliant business strategy, but one that was built on misleading the very people who had poured their hearts and wallets into supporting the team. The deception was not just passive, it was an active marketing campaign.
Have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, you know, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA, but the good news is her career is not over. But, you know, it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And, you know, in ever since Stephanie White.
The controversy isn't just about money. It's also about power. Rumors have swirled for months about a hidden agenda within the Fever's locker room, with some pointing fingers directly at Stephanie White. Fans have analyzed her body language and dissected her press conferences, claiming she never seemed fully on board with the media circus surrounding Clark. Was this a coach who resented her star player's fame and wanted to prove the team could win without her? Or was she just a pawn in a much larger corporate game, forced to deliver lines she didn't believe? The uncertainty only fueled the fire.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, like, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, you know, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the...
The team's deception became almost comical during their final West Coast road trip. Management claimed this trip would be a key evaluation period for Clark's potential return. The media was told they were seeing where she could get and how far she could get. But there was one massive problem with that story. She was never cleared for contact practice. How can you evaluate a player's readiness for the most physical basketball league in the world when she's only shooting by herself with no one touching her? It was a piece of theater, a performance designed to keep the charade going just a little bit longer and sell tickets for the upcoming games.
There you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, you know, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
To be fair, Clark's season was plagued by a vicious cycle of injuries. She would fight her way back onto the court, play a handful of incredible games, and then suffer another setback, often a soft tissue injury. First, it was 5 games, then an injury. Then she came back for 4 games, only to be sidelined again. Some now speculate that the team's decision to shut her down wasn't just about protecting her, but was also an admission that their own medical and training staff couldn't solve the puzzle of keeping her healthy. The risk of her returning for 1 game only to get hurt again was too great.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever...
The skepticism reached a boiling point just a week before the final announcement. Clark was rumored to be nearing a return for a huge game against the Minnesota Lynx, sending ticket prices soaring. Then at the last minute, a miraculous ankle injury popped up. As one podcaster sarcastically put it, there had been no mention of an ankle issue before to the fans. It felt like a blatant lie, another manufactured excuse to keep her on the sidelines while still dangling the possibility of her return. This specific incident was the moment many believers became cynics.
He finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're going to have a meeting. Are you guys going to let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's going to be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First, we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first game we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
The timing of the final announcement was also incredibly suspicious. The Fever were still technically in the hunt for the 8th and final playoff spot. If there was even a 1% chance their franchise player could return for a do-or-die game, why would they shut the door so definitively with 3 regular season games left? It suggested the decision had been made long before it was announced, and they were just waiting for the most financially opportune moment to drop the bomb without completely derailing their ticket sales for the remaining home games.
Here we are. The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as an...
This wasn't just a blow for the Fever, it was a potential catastrophe for the entire WNBA. The league's 2024 season was built on the foundation of the Caitlin Clark effect. She was the golden goose, delivering record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, and unprecedented media attention. Her season-ending injury wasn't just a loss for Indiana, it was the WNBA's worst nightmare come true. It threatened to pop the bubble of their newfound mainstream success and send ratings crashing down right before the playoffs.
To the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
Adding to the controversy was the role of the sports media. For weeks, many major outlets seemed content to simply parrot the team's official line, "She's day-to-day and working hard." Few seemed willing to ask the tough questions or investigate the growing fan backlash. It wasn't until a few brave local reporters began pressing the issue in press conferences, directly asking Stephanie White if and when they were going to make a real announcement, that the facade began to crack. For many, it felt like the media was complicit in protecting the league's cash cow.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert in the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X, and it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
As outrage exploded online, the Fever's front office went into damage control mode. The team's CEO released a carefully worded statement on social media, reiterating their commitment to Clark's long-term health and wellness. But it was too little, too late. The comment section was flooded with furious fans accusing them of fraud, manipulation, and greed. The corporate speak, meant to calm the storm, only proved to many that this was never about health. It was always about the bottom line.
WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance
When you follow the money, the picture becomes painfully clear. The team and the league had a vested interest in keeping the possibility of Clark's return alive. Every day she was listed as day-to-day was another day they could sell her jersey, promote her image, and pack arenas with fans desperate for a glimpse of the superstar. They weren't just selling tickets, they were selling hope, and they cashed in on it until the very last second, a strategy that likely earned them millions.
I don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs, because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it down.
And where was the league office in all of this? WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, who had been front and center celebrating the league's booming ratings all season, was conspicuously silent. Fans began to wonder if this entire strategy was orchestrated from the top. Was there a quiet agreement between the Fever and the league to delay the announcement for as long as possible? It seemed plausible. After all, a healthy, soon-to-return Caitlin Clark was far more valuable to the league's national TV partners than an officially sidelined one. Lost in all this corporate maneuvering is the human element, Caitlin Clark herself. After carrying college basketball to new heights, she entered the WNBA with the weight of the world on her shoulders. She played through exhaustion and injury, delivering highlight after highlight. She posted on Instagram about how hard she was fighting to get back, a statement that now seems tragic in hindsight. Now she faces a long offseason of grueling rehabilitation, with the immense pressure of having to come back in 2026 even better than before. The physical and mental toll must be unimaginable. The decision to end Clark's season may have also been a quiet signal that the organization was giving up. The Fever had been hit with other significant injuries, losing key players like Chloe Bibby at the worst possible time. Shutting down Clark, even with a playoff spot technically on the line, could be interpreted as the team waving the white flag, deciding it was better to pack it in and prepare for next year, rather than risk further injury in a playoff run they were unlikely to win. In her final press conference on the matter, Stephanie White spoke of Clark's obvious frustration and disappointment. She talked about the big picture and how her health was the most important thing, but for the fans who felt betrayed, the words rang hollow. Was she expressing genuine empathy for her injured star, or was she simply delivering a rehearsed speech crafted by a public relations team to protect the brand? The trust between the coach, the organization, and the fans had been completely shattered. This feeling of betrayal is the real heart of the story. Fans spent thousands of dollars on tickets and travel, convincing their kids they would finally see their hero play, only to find out she was never going to be on the court. They felt used. As one fan put it, y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena, in that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. It wasn't just about a player's injury. It was about an organization treating its most passionate supporters like walking ATMs. The long-term fallout from this could be severe. Will the Indiana Fever ever regain the trust of their fans? Will Stephanie White be forever viewed as the coach who mishandled a generational talent? More importantly, will the thousands of new fans who flocked to the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark stick around? Or will they leave feeling jaded by the league's cynical business practices? The Caitlin Clark effect brought the WNBA to new heights, but the handling of her injury may have done irreparable damage to its reputation. So, was the Indiana Fever protecting their franchise players' future, or did they just pull off one of the biggest deceptions in modern sports? Was this a compassionate, long-term health decision, or a cynical business strategy that sacrificed fan trust for a few more weeks of profit? The official story has been told, but the court of public opinion has reached a very different verdict, leaving a dark cloud over what should have been a triumphant season and a cautionary tale about the price of fame.